Today, I'm going to tell you a story, an amazing story, as old as time itself. Wait, that's the wrong script. If you know where that's from, let me know in the comments below. The story I want to tell happened more recently, specifically last year, 2025. This is the story of the time I was attacked on MARTA. Before I begin the story, I have some things I'd like to point out. First is that this was in no way MARTA's fault. This story is the result of a severe lack of mental health care in this country, which is well beyond what MARTA's scope is. In fact, as you'll see in a bit, MARTA's response was incredible. The second thing I want to say is that getting attacked on public transit is not something that happens very often. A lot of people have fears about riding public transit because they are worried about exactly what happened to me will happen to them. To those people, I want to say that riding public transit is generally very safe and attacks like this don't happen very often. What happened to me was more of an anomaly than a regular occurrence. Alright, now on to the story. I was riding around on MARTA, I don't remember the reason, and found myself at Bankhead, the western terminus of the Green Line. I had just arrived via a terminating train and had stepped onto the platform for the train to relay and re-enter service on the other track. The station's platform is short, only long enough for 2 cars, whereas other stations have platforms long enough for 8 cars. The entire platform is covered by a canopy which has a red roof. The station is made entirely from concrete with a distinct brutalist feel. The platform is accessed via a staircase and elevator at the north end of the station, which leads down to the fare gates, bus loop, and parking lot. The platform itself has reddish-brown square tiles. A mentally disturbed African-American woman was wandering around the platform and the staircase mumbling to herself, as is unfortunately all too common in cities across the country. For whatever reason, she caught sight of me and declared that I was racist, and started yelling insults my way, telling me to leave her alone. I did what any sane person would do in this situation and simply walked away and ignored her. She continued to follow me around the platform, which remember is very small, which made me start to get anxious. It honestly felt like I was a prey animal being chased by a predator. Normally ignoring and paying no mind to mentally disturbed people causes them to eventually move on and leave you alone. After what felt like forever, but was really no more than 3 minutes, the train I arrived on had pulled back onto the other track ready to take on passengers. At Bankhead, trains pull in on the eastern track, then relay to a track north of the station where the operator changes ends before taking the train back into the platform on the west track. It was at this moment that the woman declared me racist once more and picked up a clay pot like you'd use in a garden and threw it at me. I have no idea where the pot came from or how she got it. Fortunately for me, she was a horrible throw and the pot fell at my feet and shattered. This basically triggered a fight or flight response in me, so I quickly boarded the train and called 911. I could feel the adrenaline bubbling inside of me, adrenaline which hadn't been that bad since the time I almost got struck by lightning at band camp. I was having a full-on internal panic, but managed to maintain an outward impression of being calm. While I was on the phone with them, she also boarded the train, and not wanting to get attacked again, I stepped back onto the platform. Fortunately, before she had a chance to follow me back onto the platform, the doors closed and the train departed. I was left alone on the platform feeling rattled. A few minutes later, MARTA police arrived at the station and took a statement from me and investigated the wreckage of the clay pot. They told me there wasn't really much they could do as the woman had already moved on, but that they would keep an eye out for her in case something else happened. After that, I decided my day was done and hopped on the next train to go home. I was worried I'd find the woman on the platform at one of the stations on the way there, but fortunately I didn't come into contact with her again. I got home and basically crashed from the fear and adrenaline rush that the incident caused me. This incident has stuck with me, probably because it was so traumatic. Even today, I am scared to go to Bankhead Station despite knowing that the odds of me being attacked again are low. Let's circle back to the lightning incident I just mentioned. It actually happened a second time after the MARTA story happened, and in the interest of creative writing prompts, let's talk about them here. The time is July 2021, and at the time I was about to begin my junior year of high school. That year, my high school's marching band traveled to Jekyll Island on the Georgia coast for band camp, which is the spring training of marching band. One of the nights of camp, we were rehearsing on a field next to the facility we were staying at. On one side was a row of trees, beyond which was the beach and Atlantic Ocean. Moving clockwise, the next side had a row of trees followed by the facility we were staying at. The next side had a row of trees and a parking lot beyond. The last side had another field next to ours. The field was illuminated as it was nighttime, although not as bright as we were used to in our football stadium. The field had a really interesting atmosphere with the way the lighting was set up. The parking lot side of the field was the home side, or where the band would face, and the side that the directors watched from and the drum majors conducted from. The directors had erected a very shoddy-looking tower out of scaffolding that looked like it was ready to collapse at a moment's notice. From the tower, they could get an elevated look at what the band was doing, allowing them to see the bigger picture. The rehearsal was going smoothly until we started to hear thunder in the distance. We thought nothing of it, as this is the South Atlantic coast, and storms come and go all the time. Then the unexpected happened. Lightning hit the field directly adjacent to us, so close that we could feel tingling on our skin from the electricity. The thunder crack that followed was probably the loudest noise I had ever heard, and I played drums and hang out around trains all the time. The rumbling from the thunder crack was even worse. What just happened didn't even fully register in my brain for a few moments, like a video buffering on bad internet. I then realized that we needed to go inside immediately, but the band directors acted like nothing was wrong and continued rehearsal. I was afraid of getting in trouble, especially as I was one of the percussion captains, so I stood there with the rest of the band despite knowing better. My mom eventually yelled at the band directors to let us go inside, at which point they finally acquiesced. The band directors, being horrible people, told us to drop our instruments and had the parent volunteers collect them in the storm, despite it being quicker for each of us to take our own individual instruments inside. I'm wondering if this was a punishment for my mom speaking up. What definitely was a punishment was her getting banned from volunteering with the band going forward. As the minutes since the incident ticked by, I slowly started getting more and more panicked as the gravity of what had just happened set in. It eventually led to a small bout of PTSD, which was not helped by the fact that this wasn't the first band-related lightning incident I had had. The band directors were almost fired over this incident, which was very embarrassing as this was their first year of school and the school year hadn't even started yet. While writing this, I remembered another incident that happened at a home football game on Friday the 13th during my freshman year. The choir was on the field singing the national anthem when lightning struck the stadium, or maybe it was a water tower next to the stadium. Idiotically, they didn't evacuate the stadium until after the anthem was complete, at which point all hell broke loose and it basically became an every man for themselves situation. I remember getting super panicked myself trying to get all of our equipment and people safely inside. This incident definitely fed into the 2021 incident. There was one more storm incident, which probably also fed into the PTSD, and that happened when I was a child, so I don't remember very many details. We were driving back from Disney World when a very bad storm hit us on the highway, with very large hail and green skies, indicating a high likelihood of tornadoes. I got freaked out from that incident and dealt with storm-related PTSD for a while after that. That's three separate storm-related incidents that all fed into storm-related PTSD. There's still one more incident that happened in August of 2025 at my college band camp. We were rehearsing on our band practice field when ominous clouds started rolling in. Me, being super on edge with storms due to the previous incidents, was constantly checking the radar on my phone, which said storms were in fact in the area, which made me quite nervous, almost to the point of leaving rehearsal. I should have listened to my gut instinct, as a few moments later, lightning hit a parking lot no more than 200 yards away from us. Once again, so close that we could feel the sizzle of electricity and hear the loudest boom that I have ever heard. Honestly, I think it was louder than the incident at Jekyll Island. I immediately started having a panic attack because, of course. My mind was racing, and I basically froze, torn between leaving and potentially getting in trouble, and or being stigmatized by my peers, or staying and making the panic worse and potentially getting struck by lightning. This time, the band director stood there unsure of what to do. After what felt like forever, but was probably 5 minutes, they finally told us to go to our cars, at which point I left rehearsal and went to my room where I crashed. For a good week after that, I had trouble sleeping and generally functioning due to PTSD, with less severe effects lasting for a few months after. Even today, I still get jumpy around storms or anything that even sounds like a storm, and I don't even know if I will ever get over that at this point.